So we are on lesson 7 right now. It's rates, unit rates, and comparing our rates and ratios together. So the first thing that we need to have an understanding of is some of our definitions. A rate is just a ratio that compares two different quantities of different units. So when we say things like, oh, this many miles over this many hours, that is a rate. If we say it's this much money over this many pounds of bananas that you purchase, that is a rate. It's comparing two different types of units, right? So for the miles and the hours, or the money and the pounds, those are different units that are being compared to create a ratio. So a ratio is a proportion showing a relationship between a quantity based off of the amount or the size of two different things. Okay, so we have 3 ways that we can write a ratio. We can write it using words. So we can say the word to. So we have 5 reds to 4 blues, or we have 9 to 6, or we have 12 to 1. Those are all using the word to in between your comparison. You can write it as a fraction, which is the most common way that we'll be writing them. So 5 reds over 4 blues, or 9 over 6, or 12 over 1. Or you could write it with a colon in between them. So 5 reds colon 4 blues, 9 colon 6, 12 colon 1. These are the 3 ways that you can actually write a ratio. Now, like I said, the one that's the most commonly used is going to be this one. That's the most common. Writing it as a fraction. And when you're writing your ratio, you write it in order as it is stated in a problem. So if I'm comparing boys to girls, then boys would be the numerator, girls would be the denominator. Okay? So you write it in the order that it is presented to you in the problem. So for example, here we're going to write a few ratios based off of a basket of fruit. So we've got 6 apples, 3 oranges, 4 bananas, and 2 pears. So I first want to write a ratio comparing bananas to oranges. I'm going to go ahead and write it in all 3 formats for the first problem. All of the rest of them, we're just going to do them as fractions. But the first one, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to write it in all 3 formats. So we're comparing bananas and oranges together. So I'm going to go ahead and underline bananas in blue. And I'm going to underline my oranges in orange. Okay, so in my problem, I have 4 bananas, and I've got 3 oranges. So when I am creating my ratio, if I create it with the word to, it's going to be with bananas to oranges. So we're going to have it with the value 4 to 3. If I'm writing it as a fraction, it's going to be bananas over oranges. So we would have 4 over 3. So 4/3. And if I write it as a colon, it would be bananas colon oranges. So 4 and then a colon, which is just the 2 dots, 3. So those are all the ways that you can write it. Now, it's always a good idea to simplify if you can. So if there's a way to simplify it, especially with the fraction form, if you can simplify it, you might want to do that. Let's talk about number 2. For problem 2, we're going to write a ratio comparing bananas and apples to oranges and pears. So what this entails is that we're going to combine. When you see the word and, that means you're going to combine. How do we combine? What operation allows us to combine? Addition, right? We're going to combine by adding. And add. So for here, we also see add. So we're going to combine bananas and apples together. Remember I said bananas, I highlighted it in my blue. I'm going to go ahead and do apples in my pink. So here's my apples up here. We had 6 apples in the problem. And then we had our 3 oranges along with our 2 pears. I'm going to go ahead and do the pears in my green. Okay, so I'm going to take, again, I'm just going to put this in fraction form, and I'm going to add together my bananas and apples first. So my bananas was 4. My apples was 6. So we're going to combine 4 and 6 together. And then for my oranges, we had 3. And for the pears, we had 2. So we're going to combine 3 and 2 together. Okay, what's 4 plus 6? 10. What's 3 plus 2? 5. So we get 10 over 5. Can 10 over 5 be simplified? Yes, right? 10 over 5 can be simplified. We can simplify it to 2 over 1. Okay, so again, you could write this as 2 to 1 or 2 colon 1 or 2 over 1. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead and do problems 3 through 5. Do 3 through 5 on your own. All right, so if we are doing oranges, if we're comparing oranges to all the fruit, we're comparing oranges to all the fruit. If I write this as a fraction, what value is going to go on top of my fraction? 3, because there's 3 oranges. 3 oranges. And then what value is going to go on top, or go on the bottom for all fruit? Madison? 15. Correct. Those of you who had said 12, you didn't include the oranges, but it didn't say all oranges except for, or all fruit except oranges. It said all fruit. Oranges is a fruit. So you had to combine all of those together. That would be the 4 plus the 6 plus the 3 plus the 2. Okay, that's going to come out to the 15. 3 over 15, and then we can simplify it. That simplifies to 1 over 5. So your ratio is 1 orange to 5 fruit. 1 orange to 5 fruit. Okay? So for number 4, at Northbrook Middle School, there are 252 7th graders and 10 teachers. We want to write a ratio of students to teachers. Students to teachers. So what value is going to go on top? 252 students, right? 252 students, because we want to do students on the top, which is 252. And then what goes on the bottom? The teachers, the number of teachers. There are 10 teachers that are going to go on the bottom. Okay, so then we have 252 over 10. 252 over 10. That simplifies to 126 over 5. So our ratio is 126 students for 5 teachers. All right, number 5. On average, most people can read about 600 words in 3 minutes. We want to write the ratio of minutes to words. Minutes to words. So what unit, don't tell me the number, but what unit is going to go on top? Mason? Minutes, right? It says it right here. The ratio is minutes to words. Minutes is going to go on the top. Okay, the value for minutes happens to be 3. The value for minutes happens to be 3. Okay, on the bottom, that's where we're going to put the words. The number of words is 600. Okay, so we get a ratio of 3 over 600. We then need to simplify that. Okay, that can be simplified to 1 over 200. That means 1 minute, you'll have read 200 words. Okay, go ahead and flip it on over to the back. We're going to talk about unit rates. So for unit rate means that you're creating a ratio, but your denominator always has to be a value of 1. Has to be a value of 1. So when we're looking at these rates that we created here, the only one of these that has it written in a unit rate is number 2. Number 2 has it written in a unit rate because it has a denominator of 1. Number 3 and number 4, number 5, number 1, none of those are considered to be unit rates because their denominators are not a value of 1. You can change them into unit rates though. You can take 126 and divide it by 5, and then take 5 and divide it by 5, and then you would get a value over 1. So a unit rate always just has you taking your numerator and dividing it by the denominator to get it as simplified as possible. You might get decimal answers, and that's okay. So for example here, some of the common unit rates that we know, your speed. How fast you drive in a car, that is a unit rate. Your miles per hour. It tells you, hey, you are driving at a rate of 45 miles per hour or 70 miles per hour. Okay, how much money you pay at a grocery store. When they tell you a price, they're telling you your unit rate per item or per pound. So when you look at a bag of grapes, this is the thing I'm always having to try to teach my kids. They're like, oh, let's get these cherries or these grapes. Look, Mommy, it's only $4.99. I said, no, it's not $4.99. That's $4.99 per pound. If we measure how much that bag weighs, it's more, it comes out to 2 pounds, then I'm paying $10 for that little bag of grapes right there. You've got to make sure you understand that it's priced per pound or per item. Okay, so here we're going to go ahead and find our unit rate. So during exercise, your heart rate is 675 beats in a period of 5 minutes. We want to know how many beats per minute. So when we talk about your heart rate, it's beats per minute. So we're going to set this up. We know we have 675 beats over the course of 5 minutes. So it tells us how to set the ratio up. It tells us beats per minute. Tells us the order that it wants it. Beats on top, per is your fraction line, and then minutes on the bottom. So we know we have 675 beats. We know we have 5 minutes. And again, I want this to be a unit rate. So that means I'm going to divide my numerator by 5 and my denominator by 5. It doesn't matter if it doesn't come out to a perfect whole number. You're going to divide by your denominator all the time, and that's going to give you your unit rate. So your unit rate is going to be 135 over 1. That's 135 beats per minute. 135 beats per minute. Okay, to make 4 large pizzas, Paul needs 4 cups of cheese. We want to know how much cheese will he need for just 1 pizza. Okay, so we're going to take the amount of cheese that it takes for the number of pizzas. So it takes 14 cups for just 4 large pizzas. So we're going to put 14 on top and 4 on the bottom. That's 14 cups of cheese and 4 pizzas. Now, can 4 go into 14 nicely? Yes or no? No, 14 is not divisible by 4, but am I still going to divide by 4? Yes, because I want to get that to be a denominator of 1. So even though it's not going to divide nicely, I'm going to get a decimal, I'm going to still divide by the 4. Okay, when I do that, I'm going to get 3.5 over 1. 14 divided by 4 is 3.5. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So that means it's going to be 3.5 cups of cheese per pizza. Okay, you can do problem 3 on your own. You can also do, I think you can also do number 1. Well, no, actually, we'll wait. Just do problem 3 on your own. We'll do number 1 together for the unit price. Okay, that one's a easy, quick one. What did you guys get? 48. Good, yeah. You get 48. You're going to take James's mileage that he's traveling and divide it by the hours that he travels for to find his average speed. Remember, speed is always miles per hour. So you're going to put miles over hour. 288 over 6. When you divide both by 6, you get 48 miles per hour. All right, unit price. Just so you know, price always goes on top. Always. It's always going to be price divided by items. Price divided by item. So when you're trying to figure out the better deal is always the cheaper price per item. Not cheaper price up front, it's the cheaper price per unit. So you're finding it as a unit price by taking the cost and dividing it by the size of the items or the units that it's going to take. And then you compare from there. So let's take a look at number 1. Number 1, you got 3 different sizes of lemonade. You can buy a 12 ounce for 99 cents, an 18 ounce for $1.59, or 24 ounces for $1.79. We want to know which one is going to be the better deal. Okay, so we've got 12 ounces for 99 cents. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the price, 99 cents, and I'm going to divide it by the item, which is 12 ounces. So 99 cents divided by 12. When I get that, I'm going to get a decimal answer that goes past the penny spot. I'm going to get 0.0825. Yep. Okay, now remember, money only goes to your penny spot. So the 0.08, that's my actual money. What's behind it is going to tell me how to round that money. So am I going to look at the 2.5 or just the 2? Just the 2. You're only just looking at the 2. It doesn't matter that there's a 5 behind it. You ignore everything else. You only look at the direct number right behind it. That 2, does it tell us to keep this as 0.08 or round it to 0.09? Keep. So we're going to keep it as 0.08. So that means that for this size lemonade, it's 8 cents per ounce. Okay, that's 8 cents per ounce. Then we're going to do the same thing for the next one. We have $1.59 that we're going to then divide by 18 ounces. So when we do $1.59 divided by 18 ounces, that's going to come out to 0.088, and then the 3 is going to repeat. So again, our money is 0.08. So we're looking at the next number behind it to tell us how to round. Are we going to keep it at 0.08 or round to 0.09? Round. Okay, so we're going to round it up. So this is going to become 0.09 cents per ounce. And then we got to do it for the last one. We have $1.79, and it's for 24 ounces. So we're going to do $1.79 and divide it by 24. That's going to come out to 0.07488, and then the 3 keeps repeating. So here, the 0.07 is our money. We're going to look at the 4. Are we going to keep it or round it? Keep it. Okay, so this is going to be 0.07 cents. So which one's cheaper in the long run? Which ounces is cheaper? The 24 ounces. 24 ounces is going to wind up being our better deal. Okay, I want you guys to do the same thing for problem 2. Tell me which item of soup is going to be the better deal. All right, so if we're taking a look here, the better deal is going to wind up being the cheaper soup, or the smaller soup, the 150 liters is going to wind up being the better deal. If we do $3.60 and divide it by 150, it comes out to about 2 cents per liter. When we do $3.51 divided by 130, it comes out to about 3 cents per liter. And when we take $7 and divide it by 200, it comes out to about 4 cents per liter. So the better deal is going to wind up being the very first soup. Go ahead and flip it on over to the last page. We're going to go through those pretty quickly. You won't have homework tonight. You will have an assignment tomorrow that we'll do in class, practicing these skills. Okay, so let's take a look at here. So we're going to be doing a couple of what's called complex fractions, where you have a fraction within your fraction, or fraction within your ratio. So an artist completed a fourth of a painting in 2 weeks. What is the rate of completion per week? So when we're setting this up, we want the amount that's completed per week. So she completed 1/4 of her painting. 1/4 was completed, and then she did that over a period of 2 weeks. So we're setting it up as 1/4 over 2. Again, we want it as a unit rate. So we're going to divide both of these values by 2. Once we divide both of them by 2, we're going to get that it's 1/8 completed per week. 1/8 completed per week. Okay, Camila is filled a 4-gallon bucket in 1/6 of a minute. At what speed did the bucket get filled? So we are doing the speed. Speed is going to be size per time. So that's going to be 4 gallons per 1/6 of a minute. So we're going to set this up as 4 gallons over 1/6 of a minute. So when we're dividing, we're going to divide both of these values by 1/6 so that we can get a unit rate on the bottom. So that means we're taking 4 and dividing it by 1/6. When we do 4 divided by 1/6, we're going to get 24. So that's 24 gallons per minute. 24 gallons per minute. All right, Publix fruit basket has 4 oranges and 8 apples. Kroger's fruit basket has 3 oranges and 6 apples. We're going to compare the fruit baskets and identify if these are equivalent ratios. So when we're setting this up as Publix is going to have 4 oranges and 8 apples. So I'm going to put 4 oranges on top and 8 apples on the bottom. That means when I'm setting this up for Kroger, I have to also put oranges on the top and apples on the bottom. So Kroger has 3 oranges that are going to go on the top and 6 apples that are going to go on the bottom. I want to know if these are equivalent. So if I do 4 divided by 8, 4 divided by 8 comes out to 0.5. If I do 3 divided by 6, that also comes out to 0.5. So are they equivalent to each other? Yeah, these are equivalent. Okay, now if I do the same thing for problem 4, Joshua's pencil pouch has 12 pencils and 15 markers. So I'm going to set up Joshua as 12 over 15. And then I've got Kyle's pencil pouch. He's got 10 pencils and 12 markers. So that's going to be 10 over 12. I want to know if those are going to be equivalent. Well, 12 divided by 15 is going to come out to 0.8. But 10 divided by 12 is going to come out to 0.83 repeated. Are those equivalent? No, these are not equivalent. And we'll go ahead and stop with that one. I think we don't need to do problem number 5 because it's another better deal one. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow.